In just a couple of weeks, two hyped gacha games, the real Genshin killers, release. Though Arknight's Enfield has the most hype now, I played the 7 Deadly Sins Origin beta thanks to a subscriber, so we'll break down that one. First, though almost every gacha is compared to Genshin, only one clone has appeared over the years, Wuthering Waves, though some still argue it's totally different. Tower of Fantasy is another option, but that's an MMO with unique mechanics. So, why do I compare it to Genshin every time? Because it already gives a basic understanding of the game, and the 7 Deadly Sins. Origin is exactly a Genshin clone, much like Wuthering Waves, but with even more differences from Genshin in leveling, monetization, and unique mechanics, and the differences are quite funny, because the first large-scale open-world gacha isn't from the Chinese, but the Koreans, developer Netmarble, and they are a bit greedier than the Chinese, so expect monetization surprises. And yes, I'll frequently draw comparisons to Genshin, as it's a well-established foundation that most players are familiar with, and whose mechanics have all been dissected. Everything here is similar, but the devil is hidden in the finer points. The story, as far as I understand, begins after the events of the anime The 7 Deadly Sins, but before the start of the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse arc. Meliodas' son Tristan, along with King's daughter Theory, find some crap and somehow end up in the past, or an alternate version of their world in the past, even before the events of the anime The 7 Deadly Sins, and here, as the main character, Meliodas' son, we will witness many events that took place in the past. Events and characters will also be added there, including gacha characters that haven't been in the anime or manga yet, and then most likely we will reach the events that happened in the anime itself. Only Meliodas will be solving the kingdom's problem together with his son from the future. The game is very bright, colorful, and truly beautiful. The colors are pleasant, they caress the eyes. In terms of visuals, everything is very decent. The open world was huge right from the beta, divided into many regions. And conveniently, the map shows how many quests are left to complete in a particular region and how many chests you have collected and still need to gather. All activities shown detail the map clear percentage.
Even in the beta, a huge territory was available, which felt larger than in the Genshin release, although in some places, like on the large beach section, it was practically empty. Maybe updates will add something there. The game features underwater swimming, which was highlighted in the trailer, suggesting we could explore the depths, solve riddles, and find chests there as well. The issue is that the game contains numerous bodies of water, including a massive ocean, and every single one is empty save for just one small pond, where one chest lies, meaning this whole underwater swimming mechanic is currently completely useless, and they could have simply removed these huge territories to make the game more stable. It experienced significant lag on the PlayStation 5 Pro. Once more, perhaps they will introduce underwater content in an update to somewhat justify this large amount of territory and the swimming mechanic. The last beta I tested was recent and unstable, so they won't have time to add and rework everything before release. So saying it will be totally different is definitely pointless.
Next, map activities. 90% of the side quests are just 2 dialogues or kill a couple of monsters. That's it, 50 gems instantly. Most side quests take about 3 minutes, just fast travel, talk, skip dialogues, thankfully they skip. Then fast travel to another guy, get 20 to 50 gems, the gacha currency, I'll stick to calling them gems, and 50 gems for these side quests is a lot compared to Genshin. Since you clear these sides in minutes, not 20 minutes of grinding unskippable talk for half the pay, this is a breath of fresh air here. Chests are funny too. Puzzles giving chests are rare, but for a chest from those puzzles, you can get 100 gems, 10 times more than in Genshin Impact. But there are far more regular chests, and they aren't hidden like in Genshin. They are literally standing in the most visible places. Also, if you pass by a chest, they highlight on the mini-map, or maybe it was a character skill, and the chests give almost 10 times more gems than in Genshin Impact. It's important to clarify the balance. For example, the gem distribution at launch can be fixed. There was a small issue with the puzzles on the map. In Genshin, you can freeze water and walk on it, or ignite a chest covered in vines. In this game, there's something similar, but I can't set the grass on fire. However, if you strike a tree with fire, it won't ignite, it will only blacken and subsequently be destroyed. If struck without fire, it simply breaks. So, we encounter, for example, that same chest covered in vines here. But instead of setting fire to the vines to open it that way, we must bring over some strange object, point it at the chest, and only then strike that strange object with fire. And only then will the vines catch fire. And compared to Genshin, this is very cumbersome and pointless, meaning the activities with these elements work through some kind of crutches. And like in the case with the chest with vines, it looks kind of stupid.
Also, when you open chests, these 4-second chest opening animations start up. You must first kill all nearby monsters so they don't interrupt the opening. For chests, like in Genshin, we get seals. We buy valuable resources with these seals at one shop. The game's capital city is striking in its size. The main city is truly enormous with a huge tall castle in the middle. Although the trailer showed the capital populated by a huge number of NPCs, all these spaces in the city were very empty with very few NPCs. There are a couple of blocks with small shops, but mostly it's just a huge empty city. In the middle of the city, a huge giant walks in a circle on the dedicated empty lane. This giant serves as local transportation. Once more, since this is a central hub, updates in the city might bring more and more features. Our game is more similar to an MMO than Genshin Impact. You will run around the world alone if you don't join the cooperative, but in the capital you will see other running players, and here you won't be able to pause the game by opening the menu like in Genshin. I couldn't find where to see my ping on the bet, and I think my game was lagging, partly because my ping was really high. But what's key, and what I couldn't test well, is the co-op mode. As far as I've heard, unlike Genshin, here you can cooperatively run around the world with up to 5 players, and co-op also simplifies clearing many bosses and dungeons. It's quite possible that they will add PvP events and world bosses to the game, where there will be a global ranking based on the damage dealt to the boss. Perhaps they will also add guilds, which would be some variety compared to Genshin, and it's quite possible that if you like playing with someone, this game will be the best option. Pets are implemented in the game. We can catch one and set it as our companion. For now it doesn't seem to do anything, but I think later it might provide some bonuses if we place it. It will just occasionally appear nearby. Next, a ground mount. First is the hawk pig. Then we have gliders, like in Genshin, and flying mounts. This immediately raises the question, why do we need a glider when we have a flying mount? As far as I understand, the developers put the glider on a quick access button, and we can summon the glider while falling by pressing that button. Unlike the flying mount, which we can only summon from the ground, the question arises why the developers didn't provide the ability to summon the mount in flight, and then the glider wouldn't be necessary. We can also craft special potions that allow us to catch these Pokemon, which can be either pets or mounts. Rare pets and mounts drop from bosses, others are given as we play. Different mounts have different stats, some faster, some slower. They also mentioned evolution in the game, like with Pokemon, meaning mounts can evolve, but it seemed like it wasn't implemented in the beta. I especially want to compare it to Genshin, where we have so many damn wings whose color just changes, but then they also added the ability to place a flying piece of junk next to you. Here we immediately got a bunch of pets, mounts, flying mounts, and various gliders. The interface is like Genshin's. Local Archon towers heal you forever. You can also raise the world level, you get gems per level. At 15, you can raise it to farm more resources, unlocking new things, but the world level difficulty increases. To level up the world, you need to defeat the ass-crushing guy. Now let's move on to the most important topic, the game's difficulty and donations. As a former mobile game blogger, the constant whining from other journalists that Genshin Impact is a donation casino really annoyed me. Thus, they made Genshin the main punching bag, although before Genshin and even now, all free mobile games, and not just mobile games, were based specifically on P2W. When you got to the point where you had to choose, either farm for days or just pay quickly. You can argue, but Genshin doesn't have that at all. 99% of content is easy with starter characters, earning you gems. You can then pull for needed characters because Genshin has a guarantee. Unlike CS,
So wait, there is a casino where I can satisfy my mania and I don't even need any strange websites or anything. I can just directly gamble this through Steam with a credit card payment, damn it.
I don't donate in Genshin, I play a couple of times a week, ignore all those abysses and theaters, and I have a normal amount of characters, it's enough for me. I only pull them if I really like the character, and all these abysses and theaters are just so I can pull a few more characters, but it doesn't affect me at all. I almost always pull the character I want, even several times. I repeat, there is no serious pay-to-win mechanism as such in Genshin, but in this so-called Genshin casino, there is a guarantee that provides a sufficient amount of gems even if you don't play every day. But many still think Genshin is pure evil, a casino and a cash pit, though it's miles better than other mobile games where pay to win is maxed out. So, this is what I'm talking about. No marvel, the old school donation supporters are here, and as I understand it, donations will have to be much higher than in Genshin. First off, I want to say that it looks like in Arknight's End Field, they will remove the guarantee progress when switching banners, which has already made players shout. In 7 Deadly Sins Origin, you can unlock the first areas until you hit the main story, and there you will meet a boss who will tear you apart. By that time, you will have already spent all the resources you currently have on leveling up your characters, and that's it. Further progression and unlocking new territories are currently closed off to you. All the money is spent, all the resin is used up, and all that remains for you is to run around the territory, gather resources, craft something, spend gems on resin. Thus, by combining a little money and resources, you level up your character just a bit. You return to the boss, and the boss smashes your face in again. You wait for the next day when your resin refreshes, spend it farming bosses, level up a little more, and go to the story boss. He punishes you again, the same outcome. In the beta for this game, I used to receive a ton of pulls, a ton of resources every day in my mail. They gave away free costumes and they gave away a free character. So that all of this could be completed and tested, well, I think the developers won't be engaging in such charity on the final release. Genshin only had this artificial progress stall right at the start. Story missions and some features were locked behind a certain world level, and leveling up that world level took a significant amount of time. It's similar to that very popular game from Netmarble. Maybe some of you remember leveling up solo, specifically the free stuff, where you had to grind every event like a total loser. Grind right and spend resources on the correct build to advance the story slightly if you play for free. Maybe I missed something. I only had a few days. Perhaps the balance will change at release, but that's what I felt. Maybe co-op makes it easier. And this is already a full-blown pay-to-win. It will be much easier for those who have donated. But on the other hand, everything in Genshin is casual. You don't really have to think much about character building. You can just wing everything. There's no difficulty there except for the Abyss, which I completely ignore. It's boring to me now. Meanwhile, here there is a point to all those guides for every character that were made endlessly for Genshin. Although in my opinion they weren't very useful, here you need to sweat and figure out the mechanics, the details, actually find the best characters and weapons, save for duplicates of certain characters so it's less painful to move faster through the story and open new areas. Or run to your mother and request additional funds for your midday meals. Still, because of this complexity that is only solved by a big farming, unlike Genshin, a challenge appears along with complexity and interest. It gives a reason to study upgrades and characters, but there's one big catch. On the beta test, starting from the 3rd difficulty level of the dungeon, for example, bosses, which one had to farm quite a bit to reach, they gave so many gems, which allowed buying more resin to fight that same boss again. Plus, you'd have extra gems left over, so you could farm this dungeon forever and keep collecting gems. And they did this either for the beta and they will adjust the balance for the release, or they will keep this dungeon and then farming will have to be done, although it will be long, at least it will be possible. Or perhaps all these heaps of gems that we earn from chests and dungeons will only be spendable on the standard banner. There was only the standard banner on the beta, and separate cool gems and gems will be available for the event banner and the new imbalanced characters, which will be far from easy to earn. Or maybe only through donations. The game has /combat. We have 4 characters, play as one, switch in battle. Everyone has their element, 2 active skills, and an ultimate. During battle and swaps, runes charge over lives. Different characters need different rune counts for their ultimate. There are character combos, plus a separate attack that charges on a swap. There is also a unique interaction of elements here, which is different from Genshin, and each element has its own effects that need to be stacked on enemies. And the elements we have are fire, wind, lightning, earth, and frost. We also have unique elements separately, the physical element, physical damage, as well as light and darkness. But each character can have up to 3 elements. Each character has 3 slots for weapons. Depending on which slot you activate, the character's element, skills, and ultimate can change, that is. Each character has 3 modes and can carry 3 weapons. Unequipped weapons likely give passive bonuses. It's like getting 3 characters in one. Weapons include chains, a one-handed sword, a two-hander, sword and shield, dual blades, axe, gauntlets, staff, and a magic book. Weapon leveling is like Genshin's, but weapons appear in constellations you must level up separately. For weapon ascension, you need resources, not duplicates, which you get from dismantling other weapons. Furthermore, weapons can be enchanted using special stones that are dropped by bosses, crafted or purchased from the store. The most rare legendary stones are needed for legendary weapons, which will initially be difficult to acquire, though easily purchased. Characters can wear various artifacts besides weapons. We have 4 gear pieces and 3 jewelry items, each from specific sets with properties. And you obtain these artifacts of different rarity and crucially different levels from these very bosses. You cannot level up the gear itself, meaning that from more difficult bosses at higher levels, you will get higher level gear, but each piece of gear can be enhanced up to +5. And here is the most interesting part of the unique mechanics. using 4 gear pieces from a specific set of a certain rarity, along with a couple of special resources, which I think are hard to collect and craft but easy to buy. You can create a unique costume for each character that acts as the same artifact, provides additional stats, and can also be upgraded. Plus, it unlocks a skin for the character. Then you can change his skin regardless of the costume. Each character has up to 4 costumes. You will easily craft the first one for Tristan. And again, compared to Genshin, where every 3 updates give 2 lame skins, one of which is paid, the other will become paid a little later. Here, there are immediately several skins for each character. You might have to work hard to get them. Characters level up like in Genshin, but here is a unique character ascension system. Characters can be ascended 10 times, meaning at first glance you need 10 duplicates, but not exactly. We get the first star for a character by leveling them up to level 30. The other 3 can also be gotten by leveling the character, but the remaining 6 are from duplicates. Now let's move to the gacha itself, the standard banner gacha, as only this one was there. 10 pulls cost 3,000 gems, which is almost twice as much as in Genshin, but compared to Genshin, gems on pulls were obtained 5 to 10 times faster. I'm unsure what the in-game guarantee was, but a Lego item dropped every 30 to 40 pulls, so upgrading the standard characters should be quite simple, though this only applies to the standard banner. I don't know about the limited one. It might be simple to collect characters, but looking at actual games, saving currency for specific characters and acquiring their duplicates and signature gear will be more crucial to make everything easier to pass. I will separately focus on the crafting table. We will run around the world, gather various ores, wood, resources, find the crafting table, and craft various things on it. For example, you craft branches from a tree into planks, and planks are needed to craft a ton of other things. Believe me, you'll have to do this. The problem is that ore will be very necessary, and there isn't much of it on the map. You'll need to craft potions for taming pets. You'll need to craft healing items. By the way, the mechanics here are similar to MMOs. Some characters can actually heal you, but in my opinion very weakly, or I just haven't figured it out. But healing items in the quick slot will save you a lot, unlike in Genshin, where you could pause the game and quickly consume items in the menu. And here you can quickly heal in the quick slot, and then you'll have a cooldown for the next heal, and you won't be able to mess around in the pause menu here. Also, at the crafting table, you will need to craft these enchantment stones and a bunch of other things, and you will also need to craft a 2nd, 3rd, 4th level table and so on. A higher table level unlocks more crafting and upgrade items. There is also a cooking mechanic here. It's quite simple. You just put various ingredients you have into the frying pan and something will finish cooking. For specific dishes, you need special ingredients, and the cooking level levels up like the craft level, but you could only put 1 dish in the quick slot. It was so inconvenient I saw no point in the dishes. After eating, you must re-enter the menu to put it back in the quick slot, which is dumb. You can't just eat a dish from the menu, the game does not pause in the pause menu, and eating a dish has a cooldown. Among the interesting things, we can ride a proper little boat on the bodies of water. The fishing here is also quite simple, enjoyable, with a cool animation. There are different mechanics available, such as rearranging items, which allows us to solve various puzzles.
Also, different characters have unique abilities that help in exploring the world. For example, Meliodas can run on walls, T can fly high using a vine, and Kingfly, someone can highlight nearby chests. Just like in Genshin Impact, we have local resin that you can spend to complete certain boss dungeons to get specific resources and gear. The game also had separate special dungeons like in an MMO, meaning you had to, for example, run through caves, fight enemies, and then fight a boss at the end. I don't know how to put it, but it felt really sketchy. Everyone seems to have skipped this dungeon. I couldn't find a party. So this resin, these keys, you get 35 pieces every day. Perhaps the amount increases with world level progression. Or you spend them quickly, then buy new ones, or you just wait. There was no purchase limit on this resin, and unlike Genshin, buying more didn't raise the price, but they'll probably fix it at launch, or you just wait for the next day when you get 35 keys again. This resin doesn't regenerate over time like in Genshin.
Maybe I'm exaggerating about the game and there won't be the intense monetization I'm imagining. Perhaps it was in this game that the developers decided to stop being the greedy bastards they were in all previous games. But knowing the developers, I think maybe, just like with leveling up solo, there might be a free version and then a separate paid version will come out on Steam without such teeth-grinding monetization, which many people enjoyed. And maybe they'll add crypto too. There was news about that, well, why not? In any case, the visuals, the upgrade mechanics, and the awesome farming in the game generate interest. Fomix was with you as usual. We await the release to play together. I think it'll be fun. That's all for now, unfortunately. Thanks, good luck, and bye.